Well, welcome back one more time. Okay, so this video series, I'm sorry that it's taken 3 videos to get through this, but the series was designed around the idea of just sharing with you guys the process of unlocking the 5 hidden games in the Atari 50 collection on my PlayStation 5. I am doing this on the PS5. That's why my mic sounds the way it does. I'm sorry if it sounds bad, but anyway. So I've unlocked everything except for the last one, which is Race 500 on the 2600. And to unlock this one, I'm going to have to go through the timeline and interact with every element on all timelines. When an item has been visited, its icon background changes from black to white, marked by a radial explosion animation. Percentage progress is shown on the menu screen. I must click on and briefly view each game picture and other item to get credit for them. Okay, so we've unlocked basic math for the 2600, breakout for the 2600, combat 2 for 2600, gravatar for 2600, and this will be race 500 when we get this completed. Okay, so we've gotten through Arcade Origins, explored 100%. And now we're on Birth of the Console at 12%. And I did blow through this real fast, just going through these. Which, let's get through all these, and then we'll go back and look at some of this stuff and take a little bit closer look at some of the things that are available for you to look at as far as the history and the pictures they have, the videos they have, different things they have on here. So, but let's get through this and see if we can get this last unlock done. All right, you see how the little icon where it has the Atari logo has a white background there? So if I haven't gotten credit for it yet, it'll have a black background, and you'll see it change to white, the little circle icon. All right, so those are all white, and that one's black, so we want to click that. You see it change to white right there. Okay, so that's the process. There we go. See? All right. Really love their artwork and the way they have all these 3D boxes and just so much cool stuff you can do. You can spin these things. Look at this. This is just ridiculous. This is so cool. And you can hide this stuff too, so you can have like little animations and stuff. I mean, I'm not trying to tell anybody to steal the Atari 500 animations, but if you wanted to use some of this stuff on your YouTube channel for like intros or whatever, even thumbnails and stuff for games that you're playing, this is a pretty cool way to do something like that. I mean, I'm not saying that I will do that, but I probably will, because it's pretty cool. All right, anyway, I got distracted. Sorry. We're trying to make sure we unlock all this stuff before we spend too much time going through things. It's another cool video. There's so many really good videos. It's like a full Atari documentary sort of broken up into all these different segments. Really cool way to do that. You know, I grew up with Intellivision, and we didn't get Atari until later. But I remember, I mean, very vividly when we were able to finally get the Atari 2600. We were just a little late to that party. We were always a little late to every party until, I guess, the first, I guess the Sega Genesis was one where we got in right when it was happening because of my cousin. But anyway, for the Atari, it was like, we didn't have it right away. We had the Intellivision, and I really wanted an Atari, but we couldn't get one. Anyway, when I was 9 years old, we finally were able to get an Atari from a garage sale. Somebody was having not a garage sale, but like a full, like, moving sale, house moving sale, and their whole house was just everything in there. They were selling stuff, and they had a full, like a whole bunch of Atari 2600 games, and one of those heavy sixers that they were selling. And so we picked up the 2600 and we bought a bunch of games from them for next to nothing at their garage sale. And then it was Atari time, and I played the crap out of Atari 2600 on a Zenith black and white TV. I didn't even know that there was color in Atari 2600 games until later. I'm not joking. Like, I didn't realize that in asteroids, the different asteroids had different colors. I didn't realize that in Defender, like, there was different colors of different things on the screen. Because I only played it on black and white TV. So it was actually several years before I finally played an Atari 2600 on a color TV, and I was like, oh wow, there's a bunch of color on here. Uh, the Intellivision we played on a color TV, but that was actually because on the box for the Intellivision, it said that you needed to play it on a color TV, and so my mom was like, "Oh, we have to play this on a color TV." I mean, obviously you didn't have to, but yeah, that's why. But anyway, so yeah, I got into Atari a little late, but the 2600, I have so many games. I own a bunch of games for it now. And the 5200, I've told that story about how I got a 5200. A relative just gave us a 5200 and nobody wanted nothing to do with it. Nobody even knew what it was. I was fascinated by it because I never heard of the Atari 5200, but something about it was really familiar and I couldn't identify what. And then, I was looking at the game cartridges and I realized that I had seen them before, and they were in a movie that I really, really liked, called Cloak and Dagger. It was a movie that had Henry Thomas from E.T. and Dabney Coleman, and it was actually a really cool movie, especially if you're a kid. It was one of those really fun, like, movies about imagination and espionage and all kinds of cool stuff. But it was featured in the movie. They featured an Atari 5200 cartridge for a Cloak and Dagger game that had a secret code in it or something that these spies were after. And I never had seen that game. I'd always wondered what that game was, and I realized that it was a 5200 game. So I became really interested in playing the 5200, and I had a really good time with it. The analog control was really mind-blowing to me whenever I got it. And this was given to me, I guess I would say, man, it had to have been in the mid 90s, like maybe 93, 94, something like that. So this was way after it was relevant at all. And like I said, nobody even knew what it was. I never even heard of it before. But yeah, I absolutely loved the 5200. Unfortunately, the controllers really didn't work very well, and that was really what stopped me from playing it, because I enjoyed it, but I couldn't get it to work right with the controllers, and I didn't know enough about that stuff to try to fix the controllers. So it kind of just, I don't remember what happened to it. I put it in a box or something, and who knows, it went the way of junk or whatever, back at my grandma's house. So unfortunately, I don't have that original 5200, but years later, but was able to buy another one. I've had a story, if you are familiar with my channel at all, the story of me trying to burn down my house with a 5200 and screwing that up, thinking I could fix it. So anyway, I have a 5200. It works fine. I actually have two consoles. One of them is the one that I thought I'd screwed up that actually is fine, and I have a S-Video modded Atari 5200, which works beautifully, and a couple of really good controllers. So I love that console. I think it's really good. Just really fun. And I do like the analog control when it works properly. I think it works really well when it, when the controllers do what they're supposed to. There it is right there. It's a beautiful console. It's huge. It's gargantuan. It's an enormous console. I think it's even bigger than my PlayStation 5. And that's not a joke. I think it is bigger than the PS5. But it's really cool. Look at that. 4 players, a very interesting console. Ahead of its time in some ways. Analog control, 4 players. It's crazy. I think the downfall of the 5200 was that it wasn't backwards compatible. They did have an adapter you could buy, but out of the box, the console was not backwards compatible. Look at this joystick. Yeah, I know people have talked endless crap about this joystick, and that includes me. I have too, and but now that I know more about them and I know how to work on them and the process of trying to fix them and keep them working properly, I actually like messing around with these controls and trying to keep them up to snuff and everything. And I do like that analog stick. It is a weird stick. It's not self-centering, but it is pretty cool. I have this trackball too, which is humongous as well. But my trackball is a little messed up. It'll only go left and right. Up and down doesn't work right on it. So I either need to get it fixed or just buy another one. And from what I understand, I've been reading about these, and when they mess up on you, it can be problematic trying to fix them. So I might end up just buying another one rather than trying to fix mine, because it could just be a rabbit hole I go down and never actually get fixed. But it's pretty cool. That is a cue ball in there, by the way. It's a cool device. It's just gargantuan, just like the 5200 itself. I definitely want to watch this documentary, this 5200 video. Just not at the moment, but definitely want to check that out. Super Breakout. Yeah, that's the one I like. I love playing that on 5200. Let's see if we can. Yeah, there we go. All right. Anyway, Missile Command. That's a great version of it too. Star Raiders. I'm not really big on Star Raiders. I know that at the time it was revolutionary, and a lot of people got really into Star Raiders because it's basically Star Wars, and it's like Star Wars meets Star Trek, and it's pretty cool. But I just was never big on that. Centipede, yeah. There's pretty much not a bad version of Centipede, like on anything. Pretty much every version of Centipede is awesome. 2600 version is just fine. It's just as fun as any of the other ones. My favorite version of Centipede is, again, probably the 5200 version, just because of that control. Although it looks better on like the Atari 7800, but I just like that control. Again, if you're sort of confused about what I'm doing right here, I have to watch everything to unlock this last game, and that's all I'm trying to do. We're not actually watching all these videos right here. That would be something that I would love to do on another video if anybody wants to see me go through all that stuff. But right here, we're just trying to unlock this last game. So to do that, I have to view every one of these things. Ah, Saboteur. There's Gravatar. Yeah, suck at that game, but I like it. I just suck at it. Waterworld. That's nothing like the movie. That was a little bit before the movie. I don't think the movie's based on that game either. Yeah, look at the internals on that joystick. Look at that. Yeah, that's some old tech right there. Millipede. I never bought that one on 5200. Oh, that's why, because it was canceled. I was like, why did I never buy that? Well, that's why. But I can play it. Oh my goodness, I didn't realize I could play that on here. That's cool. Play the canceled Millipede. Well, I will have to do that. I will absolutely do that. Man, what a cool collection. Man, it's just really cool. They give you all these games and games that were never released and all this history. So there's 7800. That's a badass console. The only downside to the 7800 um, is that it only outputs an RF signal unless you modify it. Mine is not modified. But and that controller that comes with the 7800, this one right here, not the best controller. It's okay, but it's kind of your wrist kind of hurts using it. So I have a controller that I bought off of eBay that's basically like an NES pad that's been wired to work for the 7800, and it works really well. Here's another option. Look at that. That is the official Atari D-pad, and that is badass. I do not have that one. I've looked at getting one of those before, but it was just a little bit too expensive for me. So I just bought, like I said, what I bought was basically like an NES controller rewired to work for the 7800. It's a pretty cool little controller I got. Yeah, it's cool. All the 7800 games are actually really well made. Yeah, that's definitely a good looking version of Centipede right there. Not bad at all. And I have one of these now. I don't have the Heavy Sixer Atari 2600 anymore. I actually always wanted one of these juniors because they were so cheap, and I just always wanted to get one, but I never did. Because we had the big old school one, you know. But I always was curious about these, so I bought one of these a few years ago, and it's redesigned to look like the 7800 and the 5200, so it actually goes really good with my setup. Oh man, if you've never played Solaris, that is an advanced game for 2600. That the graphics and animation in that are really really good for a 2600 game. I don't really there's some games on the 2600 that are just kind of mind-boggling because it's like, wow, they really pulled that off. Yeah, it's pretty cool. That's a pretty advanced boxing game too. That's much better than the old boxing game that they used to have. That's look at that one. That's pretty cool. I don't think I've ever played that one, so I will have to do that. Secret Quest. I'm sorry, I'm not supposed to be going through all this stuff right now. We're just trying to unlock stuff. But I find this Atari stuff so fascinating. I'm gonna speed up. Sorry. We'll watch these videos at some point. I'll probably do a stream, and I'll just stream all the videos and stuff and talk more about the different games and things. Spend some more time, play some more games. Just do like a long ass Atari stream. Okay. The computers. I have an Atari XEGS. My buddy John Retro Bro helped me get it. He was able to pick it up, but he didn't really want it, so he sold it to me, and I have thoroughly enjoyed it. So if you're not really familiar with these Atari computers, real quick, I'll just say this. These computers, the 400, the 800, and like the XE, XEGS, they're basically the same computer. They the later models have more RAM and they have a couple of enhancements. They've redesigned cases, but game compatibility is like any of the XE systems can play all the games for the 400 and 800 and all that. So it's all the same family of computer basically, if that makes sense. That's a strange looking system, but this one was pretty cool because you could actually do a lot of upgrades on it yourself. I've seen some people do some really cool stuff with that computer right there, and with this one too. These can be upgraded. Like my computer that I have, the XEGS, really can't really. I mean, it can be upgraded, but not like it. These can be really easily upgraded, is what I'm trying to say. Man, it's hard to imagine those came out in 1979. That's crazy. Yeah, I definitely want to check out more of this stuff. See, this is the Star Raiders that I think most people that were really into Atari got really obsessed with. Star Raiders on the 5200 is basically that exact same game. The Atari 5200 internals are the same as the Atari computer. It's the same CPU and audio and everything. The only real difference is, obviously, the 5200 runs cartridges that are different than the cartridges for the Atari computer, and you have analog controls. So some of the games, I mean, they control differently because they have the analog control. Wow, that's cool looking artwork. Wow, that's not ripping off Star Wars at all. That's not supposed to be Darth Vader's TIE Fighter. Yeah, I hate that I'm blowing through this stuff, but we're on a mission right now. There we go. I'm gonna call, talk to Whopper, start a thermonuclear war. Yeah, we'll go through this more later. I'm gonna hurry up. I've been taking my sweet time because I'm fascinated with this stuff. We're just unlocking the last game right now. We're gonna go through this stuff at a later date and really take a look at stuff. Oh yeah, the XL computers. Again, in the same 8-bit family as the 400 and 800. So, software compatibility is they're backwards compatible. Everything's through all the way through the XE computers is backwards compatible. There's the ST. Now that's when they went to 16-bit and that changed everything. And that's where they lost backwards compatibility. But that XE computer, and there's my computer, the XEGS, those are backwards compatible with all the older Atari computers, the 8-bit computers. 1987. I still remember seeing commercials for that. I desperately wanted one of those back in the day because I was like, oh man, a computer that's Atari and the games look really good. Yeah. We had Apple computer, which was still really cool. And there's the Falcon. Yeah, there you go. We'll talk more about that on later stuff. Okay, now here's where we get into the more interesting, more modern console stuff. The Lynx. One of these days, I'm gonna get me a Lynx. Look at this stuff. There's so much cool stuff. We're not going through it at the moment, but we will go through this stuff. Ninja Golf. Fatal Run. It's a pretty cool game. That's the one I want. That's the Lynx I want right there. I'd like to get one that has a screen mod that has a really nice screen. Normally I don't like to mod things too much, but the Lynx really needs a better screen. It's just the Game Gear, I really should probably try to get a one with a modded screen. The Game Gear I have is a regular, just old school screen. It's okay, but it's definitely technology is not held up. There's the Jaguar, the Atari Jaguar. So, gee, I've never seen one of those before. Gee, I wonder how that console is to play. I don't know. Where did you learn to cry, Cyrus? Shut up. Shut up. Ball-headed hoe. That game's not very good. They have a couple of the good Jaguar games, but they don't have all of them. There's not that many of them, but yeah. Thank God they have Tempest 2000. I mean, if they didn't have that, why would you even bother to put Jaguar stuff? That's a weird game. Never really. That's kind of a weird. We'll talk about it more another time, but it's a weird game. There's the big Alien versus Predator. Yeah. Good version of Wolfenstein. Doom is obviously really good on Jaguar. That Val d'Isere skiing snowboarding is kind of funky, but compared to the Super Nintendo one, it actually looks better. Cannon Fodder, that's a good port. Hover Strike, crappy animation, but pretty good graphics. Iron Soldier, graphics are a little weak, but the game is actually pretty good. Syndicate, I don't really understand how to play Syndicate. I tried. Troikman Football, it's alright. It's not the best football game. Rayman's really good. Ultra Vortex, oh man, we'll have to play some of that sometime. That's a crazy game. It's like Mortal Kombat kind of ish. Fight for Life, that's on here, and that's garbage. But you know, it's worth seeing just for the time it came out. And Burnout, that's a good racing game. That's a super scalar type racing game. Good stuff. Never had a Jaguar CD. I'd love to have one, but you know, forget it. Just forget it. It's not worth it. You can't really play burned games. Really, you have to actually have the real games for it, pretty much. Yeah, so I don't think so. There's a cartridge they make that's out now that's like a flash cartridge for the Jaguar, and it'll play all the CD stuff. So at some point I'll try to get one of those so I can play the CD games. Because I'm not buying those CD games and relying on an old Jaguar CD that those are notorious for breaking down constantly. So there's a bunch of games here that I never have had a chance to play. I'm looking forward to getting some more time in playing some of these games. And there it is, the new VCS. I've heard mixed things. There's some people really enjoy it. They use it for other things, not just for as a game console, because you can use it like a computer actually. Sort of not the best computer, but it's not terrible. Definitely could get some functionality out of it. I think we're almost done here. Ready to unlock this last game. And there it is. Race 500. We have unlocked all of the hidden games on the Atari 50 collection. It was not easy. There was some struggles along the way, some stumbles to go with that, but we managed to pull it off. Okay, well, I've still got about half an hour left that I can do on this recording. So now that we've unlocked all of the games, let's take a look at some of this stuff that I wanted to get a little bit more in depth on. Yeah, so I don't know. I'll probably do a stream and play some of the stuff and look at some videos and things like that. We'll just kind of look at a few things. Nothing too major. Look at this thing. That's fascinating. You imagine seeing that like in an arcade or at a gas station or a convenience store or something? That's crazy. That's old school right there. Yeah, that was back in the beginning of things, obviously. 1971. Computer space. My goodness. Pong. Yeah. They have one of these machines at the video game museum in Frisco, Texas that I've been to. It's pretty cool. So I wasn't even born until 1977. So some of this stuff is older than me. That's pretty old. Lunar lander, that's the one I struggle with. I can't do that crap. It's too hard. Those old vector games are fascinating. We'll take a look at this real quick. Look at that. Oh, yeah. When you see these like in a real arcade, the the vector lasers or whatever they are, the vector lines that are drawn on the screen, they're really super bright and they flicker a little bit. They have like a sort of a phosphorescent flicker to them that really makes them look amazing. This is, obviously these vector graphics are a good representation of what the actual arcade is like, but it really doesn't compare to seeing the real thing because when you see the real thing, on a CRT with the old school technology, it was really mind blowing. The graphics, they just had a warmth to them, if that makes sense. Like, let's see if we can emulate that a little bit. I don't know how good this will do. Hmm. Let's see how that works. Oh, it doesn't really recreate it. It's trying to do something there with the little bit of glow that it's adding to things, but it's really not the same. All right. Anyway, there you go. Still cool. They give you a lot of options in this, different ways to play these games and set them up, and it's just really cool. Look at this thing, little holographic handheld thing. It's crazy. Definitely have to do some more investigation on that. What a collection. This is a really great collection. If you're interested in the history of Atari and old tech and old stuff, retro gaming, there's so much here to look at. Look at that holographic stuff. That's crazy. Asteroids Deluxe. What's really weird is like the Atari 7800 version of asteroids is like they don't even try to do anything like this. The asteroids are like sprites. They're like fully color, like drawn sprites. It looks completely different. I'm not really a fan of the 7800 asteroids because of that. But that's probably just nostalgia and, you know, what I know, what I grew up with, and all that sort of thing. Centipede. There's, yeah. Old school stuff right here. Good stuff. Now look at that. Laserdisc game. Look at that thing. Yeah, I don't think I ever played that. I would have loved to have played that. It's too bad you can't play it on here. It would be really cool. There's Cloak and Dagger. It's a game I was telling you about. iRobot. Yeah, Polygons. Yeah, 1984. That's crazy. Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up here. If you guys want to see a stream where I just go through this whole thing and just talk about what I know and what my personal experience is with all this stuff, let me know. I can do that. That's no problem. I mean, it might be kind of boring, you know, just me talking about Atari stuff. But if you're interested, let me know. We could do a stream and just do that. It would be kind of fun. But that's it for now. Thanks for watching. More videos coming soon, and I will talk to you later. Take care. Bye-bye.